Hi, today we're going to implement an SDK inside of Toddle. And that's very cool if you want to extend the functionality of what Toddle can do and there is no package about that specific web component that you want to integrate inside of your Toddle web application. So let's start right now. So first of all, we just want to take a sample SDK today, which is a nice video player. That's something as simple and as possible and as complicated at the same time as it can be, and you're going to figure out why. Because we want to have multiple on the page, and that is a whole process. I've never worked with a player SDK in my whole entire life yet. I can imagine that there are some troubles with it, especially if you want to have multiple on the page. But we're going to use Claude today, our good friend in need, and we're going to look at some of their NPM documentation and trying to figure something out, how we can integrate this SDK that I never worked with inside of our Toddle project. So how about we start with NPM? It's a pretty cool player library. So how about I just copy the HTML5 and just paste it in here and get a video player, right? And it seems like we got two sources. We only want one MP4 source. And I got like some videos as links on my Xano CDN. So I'll put a video in here and ooh, how about we wrap this in a div and we give it some fixed width. We give it 100%. Here you go. And height can be auto, just like that. So we got that beautiful working. Now it's not, this is just like the HTML player. This is the default one, right? That we got this here. This is the default one. But player promises a nice response, right? So we want to integrate that. Look at that. Look at that. Wonderful. So we want to go here. We want to follow the documentation, right? They want us now for the JavaScript part to run this code, probably on page load, to initialize it. So we create an action called initialize. Let's just call this render plier. Render plier. Actually, plier is the video player I also use on my page, but I never set it up because Circle uses it and I never did it. So we render all of them with the player attribute. And now we need to load their source files, so their script tag. We don't want to use polyfill because polyfill was like bought by a random Chinese company that added some technology in there to spy on people who open websites that are polyfilled. So we're not going to use the polyfilled version today. Let's just paste this in here. Let's move it on the root. And now we want to go back in here and also add the CDN. Yes, here we go. Style sheet. Oh, we want to use this one, right? Because that has the CDN link. Beautiful. I'll put that in here and we'll move it close to the root. Now we see it's not having the player library in here because we need to go on the lifecycle of the page, and on load we want to run the render player action. And if I would to open the page now, it would not work. So most of the times the issue that I found is if you add them close to the root, they don't work. If you take the script tag here and we were to copy the script tag and we would remove the script tag and click outside of here, right, and go to the page in the external head assets, and I add a script and I add a plus for the source to then also set the CDN and would now open the page, it would work, right? But now if we want to have this reusable, because we would have to like clone multiple video players on this page to get a working result, right? Let's see how we would have to do that. We would have to take this div and we would have to add another div, and then we would have one player on the page and one that's not a player. So that is concerning, but you know, we would have them loose. They would not be components. We would have a lot of HTML and we would get confused. So we want to solve it by isolating them as components inside of Toddle. But first, we want to solve the issue that only one on the page is initializing and another one has a completely different UI because it doesn't load the plier library. So let's say, Claude, how can I have multiple plier video players on my HTML/vanilla.js web app rendered on one page? Here we go. And I did some typos because the recording bar is exactly over the player, like over the type where I typed. So we'll look at the JavaScript it gives us. And yeah, it seems like we are initializing multiple of them. So we're doing plier 1, and we say I need a more dynamic approach. I may render lists of video players, right? So because this is not scalable, like if we would have to customize the code for every player, we don't want to do that. We want to use components to do that. And please don't render a list. Now it does it all with JavaScript. Let's start again. How can I have multiple plier IO video players on one page using JS? Is there a global ID approach? And let's see. Here we go. We would add the plier. We would add everyone with a class of plier video. Okay, and then we would do query all for the plier, and then we would look at the pliers and map it. Okay, and let's ask, how would this work for one plier only using ID? And I have an idea because we can run this code isolated in a web component. And if I add a separate one, with a different ID, we would make plier 1, plier 2. So this is how, because we would have to define a different const. Let's say, can we make a function where the const is dynamically set by a string that is the same as the ID I wanna target, like player 1 in quotes, and then do the magic. Let's see. Now we get a magical approach. Player ID, and so the idea is in this should be dynamic. You're absolutely right. So we're going to end up with rather complex code. So now I want to say no. This should be dynamic, because like every player will have like their own one. plier.custom ID. Yes, that sounds good. And we want to super simplify this in like 2 lines. Very bare bone, but working. Here we go. Maybe the easiest one is just targeting all. Yeah. This extremely simplified version does the following. Waits for the DOM to be fully loaded, selects all video elements on the page, creates a new plier instance for each video element. It's very bare bone, but fully functional. It will return all video elements on the page into plier without any need for IDs or storing references. Perfect. I like that. Actually, that was the original option it gave us. That was this one. Beautiful. Can we make this only for plier or for players with the ID of plier? Here we go. That should work. And let's say full code, please. This will say certainly. We can modify the selector to target, and then the single line of code plus the event listener will wait for the DOM to be fully loaded, create a new plier instance for the video element with the ID plier. That sounds good. And then if you want to allow for multiple pliers with IDs starting with plier, like plier 1, plier 2, we don't want that. We just want to target all. So this seems to be the code that we're targeting. So let's say, what's the simplest way of having like multiple dynamic plier IO on a page? We got class plier, and we would look for the class. Let's see, I want to look for ID though. Okay, we would do 1, 2, 3, and so on. What if I add an attribute like index equals plier on all? Because with IDs we can't have elements have the same ID. That would allow us to have all with the same and simplify the approach. So let's do this. Let's say only give me the JS. Here we go. So we got the JS. We go back to Toddle. We go to render plier, and we will update this to do this on all pliers. So we're going to do this on all pliers now. Here we go. If I would go on the page, none of them works. This is great. This is starting amazing. But we also have to remove the ID now, and we have to add index plier. So let's open the page and see if that works.
Hi, today I want to showcase you or present you.
Okay. Let's look at our thing in here again. How about we remove that one so we avoid any timing issue? We would do all with an index. So let's go to this page here. And this will be index plier. And this will also be index plier. Let's open that page And now we got 2 players on the page. So as you can see, that is working. We can play this one.
Hi, today I want to showcase you my new.
Beautiful. So that's working. We probably want to work with more video control so it stops the other one if the other one is playing, because that would be a pain. But you get the idea. Now we have the possibility to run them isolated. Now we want to turn it into a component. Now the big issue I'm seeing is we don't see the player UI on the page inside of Toddle. We only see it on the live page, the way the resources are being loaded. So we want to go from an approach, where we load the CDN instead of the head using a fetch, which is like a method in JavaScript, how we can load it. So I want to go in Claude and say, make a fetch call to load this library on my page without using script tags. That seems to be working the best for components inside of Toddle. It's probably not the most resource friendly, but who cares? Let's copy this. Here we go. And we go to our actions to render player. We'll put that code in here. We're going to fetch it. We can then console log it. We append it, right? We just want to do the console log. Initialize player here. Okay, we would initialize player here. So we would move the const from here to be there. Just like that. Here we go. Boom. And that should do the trick. Now, if I go in here, we got that head asset removed. Let's look at the page. Now it's not loading it. So we want to now get the whole code and say, here we go. Let's copy that and let's go to Claude and say, not working. And now we'll have Claude figure out what I did wrong. Here we go. We have some console logging that always helps beautifully. So we're going to go back in here and just, oh, what the heck did I do? And we're going to paste that code Claude gave us back. We go back on the home page. Oh, I found sometimes if you paste random code by mistake in Toddle, the Toddle editor breaks. Understandably. Let's go on the live page. Now player is not successfully loading. I think it's also the issue that I want to add the style sheet using CSS as well. So let's remove the link and let's say I want to also load the style sheet via fetch, just like that, so that we have it consistent, that we don't have any timing issues, right? That should be the approach. Let's copy it. Let's go to Toddle. Let's go in here. Beautiful. We're going to paste that code in here. Let's go on the page. And it's not loading. So how about we bring the console in? Let's go on inspect. Let's go on console. And we'll load and we'll clear the console. Let's reload. And now we got error loading. Resource failed to fetch. So we're going to go back to Claude and we'll tell it what happened. And we got course errors. What else? You always got them. I wonder we could actually technically run them in API calls inside of Toddle using autofetch. That would be cool. But maybe we'll do it another video because that would probably break everything into much more Legos, and let's just work with code for now. But you could do that actually, now that I think about it. Here we go. And that loads the player beautifully. And again, if I were to add another player on the page, they will both work beautifully. So now I want to turn it into a component. So what we want to do is we want to remove all the dependencies that render the players from the page inside of an isolated environment that is a component. So we go into this div block holding the video player, and we go to extract as component, and I will call this plier. I will create, and now I got my plier. Now I got my component that is my plier. So in here, oh, the sidebar from Toddle just disappeared. On lifecycle, I want to run render plier. So on load in the lifecycle. So on load, we'll see the plier. On attribute change, I want to also re-render the plier inside of this isolated environment that is the web component. This is going to help us have a more dynamic approach in building this. So now what we also want to do is we want to make like the video dynamic. So how about we go back to my CDN and just copy one video as an example. We go to attributes and we call it source, and we'll paste a sample video in here, and I will make the whole player dynamic. So I'm going to go inside of my video element, right? And in the source, inside of the source in here, I want to map it to the attribute of my component. I also want to make the type dynamic. So let's copy the type real quick. And on this component, add a type attribute where I'll be able to add the type of that video in case you want to render the videos dynamically. In here, I want to bind it to the type attribute. And then on the track where we have captions, right, we could add captions, and we could add a caption source, and we could add captions language. If we want to add captions, we don't need to, but let's just also add the functionality for captions. So I can do captions source, and I would go in here, and we don't have captions for this one. So how about I go to help.nocodeproco.com and just like get random captions from one of my videos. Show transcript. Can I download it? No, I gotta go on edit mode to download it, right? Let's see. I just moved my window a little bit. Ooh. Let's go to edit post. In here, automatic.
Hi, today
transcript.
We're going to introduce everything that we built inside of Xano on the back.
Yeah. Here we go. So let's go. And those are not the proper captions. I just want to mention that, but it's good enough for sample purposes. Let's put the captions in my bucket here, and we copy those captions, right? And I go to caption source. I'll paste them dynamically in here. I go on my track. We see captions. Inside of here, I can go caption source, and I can add the caption source to make it dynamic. You know, this is just teaching the principles. This works with every SDK like that. And then I can do label English captions. So I can go in here and add like captions label, right? And I can do like English captions, something like this, English captions. I can go on the track and I can go source language. So I can copy EN, right? So first we go to the label, and I can go captions label to then make it dynamic. And I can do like captions src lang. So we can do captions language, and I would put EN for English, captions language. You can add that with multiple languages and add multiple attributes. You can really be as creative as you want. I could go in here and go to captions source. Here we go. And I would be able to...
Hi, today I want to
have captions shown in some way.
And so on. I will click on it. It will say, let yourself be,
captions,
and so on.
English captions.
And now I click on dance.
And we would actually see
dance.
The captions in here.
And when I click on
I assume
yesterday,
the setup is not completely correct how it should be. Let's mute myself. I'm interested in what it says here. So let's just zoom a little bit. Let's go here. English captions. And it actually shows the caption. I think it's the wrong captions for the video, but you get the idea.
we don't actually need to have captions in here, so we can just remove that to simplify it. But you get the idea how those things could work. Let's remove that. We just got source and type. We just want to have a nice audio player. We don't need captions. Here we go. Beautiful. So we got that. We can then also customize some of the styling. So we can make it in a different color. So what we could do is we can ask Claude how to customize the main theme color of the player that is by default blue. And let's see. You can override the default CSS variables. Here we go. Let's say I just wanna override all the blue to be my main primary theme color, just so that we have a super simple configuration here. What we would be doing is we would do this we could do this dynamically. That is very cool. Let's copy this and let's make this dynamic. That is very cool. Let's say I want the color hex code to come from a dynamic variable. We actually would maybe have issues. We could also do this just on the page, targeting the elements, but let's actually do this. I think that's fun because I think we may have issues because we attach it to all players. No, actually, I got a better idea. No, shut up. Shut up. Better idea. Can we customize every player's primary color by adding a color attribute and calculating it properly? So then, because we cannot interfere of having the scripts mixed through each other, just the native functionality that they're all added on the page. But if we isolate the components using attributes on the HTML DOM level, we're still able to recognize it, and then we can pass that information on from having it as a web component. Here you go. So we'll be able to add player and then data color. I just want to call it color, please. Here we go. This is fun. If not, we just add the default color. That works great. Let's copy this. I hope the player people are not seeing this video, how we abuse their library. So let's just delete, or did I get the full? Yeah, I got the full code. The full code. Beautiful. That's great. We go on the player component. We got the default color, but I can now go on my video element and I can add the attribute of color and I can make this pink. Oh, I probably need to do hex, so let's look for a pink hex code. I mean, pink hex. I like using those test values. It's not pink. Let's see what Claude told us how it should be set. I have no idea what color that is, but let's try it. Color, I'll put that in here. Let's just make sure to reload to give it a fair chance. What should this color be? This color should be red. Let's give it a photo. And actually, let's see if the other things are all of a sudden red. Like, no, it's all pretty blue. So let's just capture it and say, Let's just drop it in here. Still default, not if I add color equals quotes and put that in here. And sometimes you just talk and sometimes you just send photos in there. Hey, look at that. And it's going to fix your code. It's going to make it beautiful. Here you go. That looks great. I like that one. So we go to our render plier. We'll put that in here. We'll open the plier. Let's reload. Let's see. Still pretty blue. That's pretty fast. Here we go. Let's actually try this on the live set. Does it work on the live set? No. So why is it not working? Interesting. I got the color of plier and I got index of plier, but it doesn't work. So we can say to Claude, not working. And now it's Claude's job to fix it. Beautiful. So we got the source. Oh, and it seems like we add the source directly on the video element. Maybe that is doing a difference. But let's see. Let's paste that in here. And let's look at our identification again. Yeah, we do the index. So let's update the code final time, and otherwise then we'll change some of our HTML structure to match what the AI wants us to do. But it worked. It worked. And I couldn't see it on the first side because, but look at that. Look at that. It looks like YouTube. It looks like YouTube. Oh, hey, yikes. Oh, now it plays in line. Ooh. Now we got full screen. How do I exit? Let's just reload. But it's working. I'm happy. I'm happy. This is like birthday. Here we go. If I click and if I remove, wait, I still got that, so I want to copy this here so I can see it. So let's make a photo of this. Let's go to my friend Claude and says, ooh, Claude, what you doing? Let's copy that, capture. Let's give it some visuals. Let's say it's 90% there. But when I click on a custom colored icon and it's selected and then I go away, I still have the default color. So maybe some selected / active class is a bit messed up. Let's see. But we're getting very close thanks to the help of AI. That shows you can do everything. And if it's something that requires code, you got your AI buddy to help you. Now we're getting wild with the CSS classes. Let's the rest of your code. I don't like when it does it. I say, please full code. Because even though we could now piece it together, we may get syntax errors in there, and it's not worth the stress. We'll just have AI do it. Yeah, so that we know there are no dumb syntax errors. It may do smart syntax errors, and that's pretty cool too, but we don't want any silly syntax errors. And it's typing, doing all the CSS stuff in here. Very beautiful. So now I'm just going to close everything. Beautiful. And now I'm going to go to Toddle, and I'm going to go on my actions, and in here I'm going to paste it in here. Beautiful. And I'm going to go to player, and that just basically broke everything. Okay, I thought now we had it, so let's make a photo, and let's go back to Claude, and let's say you just broke everything. It's all blue again. What you do? We could also look at the GitHub documentation, but this is way more fun, so. And the Toddle Discord is going wild. There's right now a whole conversation, Xano versus Comnico. I actually use both. I have Xano call Comnico, and Comnico call Xano. So let's say, please full code. And now we get the full code with the arcs and the contacts and all of that. And let's see if that is the solution we've been waiting for. Let's copy that. Beautiful. Let's go on render the player. We'll put that in here. Please. Please. It's not working. No. Still blue. It used to work before. Why is it all broken now? All broken now. And I will try again. Yeah, I like minimal approaches because they work. Let's say full code, please. Where did the full code go? Oh, that's the full code. No. We got to go back here. We got to go back. And this code was working. And I'm just creating a new chat, and I'm saying, when custom color icons are selected, the selected one is still the default color. And we'll put it in a new chat, and then we'll have Claude figure it out again. But let's just revert to the version that worked, because that was as close as we could come. And then we see, yes, we got that like YouTube. And now we have a new Claude. Give us the code again. That should help. Let's copy this. Let's go in the custom action, paste it in here, go to player. That didn't work. So let's copy the pasted content. Let's say this one you just gave me makes everything blue again. This one here is working. Just the selected ones are still in blue, but everything else in this one I pasted is perfect and custom colored. And then let's see if we got that working. I apologize for the confusion in my previous response. You're right, the code. Okay, here we go. I love that Claude always says, you're right. Interesting. Okay. If not, we'll just do some manual effort in there and inspect the CSS and figure out which class is wrong. But before that, we'll do the lazy version. Just have ChatGPT or Claude do it. And yeah, that is not working. So now we need human power. Now it's more broken than the one I sent you. So AI can solve this problem. Maybe they updated something in their code base or something like this. Let's actually give it one last shot because it just started generating. But if not, we'll just use a custom solution here. Someone should make this package in Toddle. So let's copy this and let's move to Toddle. Let's go to render player. We'll put that in here. It's hover. Can I send Claude videos? I want to send Claude a video. Look, I want to send it like on. I want to give this like super precise stuff. Here we go. Let's make this like understandable. On hover, nice. On select, not nice. Here we go. I see what you mean. Nice. Here we go. Your CSS override in here doesn't seem to consider the selection of the elements. I apologize for the oversight. You're absolutely right. The CSS I provided earlier doesn't address all the selection states of elements. Let's correct this. Okay, beautiful. Let's say full code, please. Actually, I'm so convinced that if I just inspect elements in here and I go on this button and I will see that the background, I can change the color and I can just solve the issue so fast myself, because I could just go in here and we see we got the background, but this class is the one that's messing it up. So if I go here on the background and make this pink, for example, right? Let's make it pink. Let's make it green, right? This is updating it here. This is the one having the issue. So this is the state here. That's the one with the error. And if I were to click out of it, it would be great. And then you see we got that. So I can make this. Let's make this green, right? I click in here and I click outside of it. That's fixing it. So solving the error humanly is so simple. So let's say I made investigation. This one is not updated. Updated on the BG color. It's this one. Thanks for your investigation. You're absolutely right. If I would be right, you wouldn't have done it 15 times without working. So, but we got it working now, and this should do the thing. So sometimes inspecting elements helps too. So let's say full code, please, and we'll ask it to give us the full code. And now we will get our code and we will be able to paste it in there. Here we go. If now it still didn't fix the issue after me telling Claude what the error was, you know, I gotta take matters into my own hand. Let's paste this in here. Come on. Come on. Oh, I love it. I love it. AI code is great. Let's copy this. Let's go to the one that was nice though. Yeah, let's copy this. Let's go as close as we can. If not, I'll just handwrite it. We'll put it in here. We'll go to player. We got that working, right? Error is in here, so we go on inspect on this element. I go on elements, and in here we'll find it. I mean, this is blue. If I make this now white, it will be white. If I make it black, you know. So this one is the error. So I go to my code I have in Toddle, and I say, I'll just do the prompt in here. I do like, great job with the color override. It's all working, but this one is still the default color. Please update the BG color to be dynamic as well. We'll paste it in here. We'll copy the whole code with my little prompt. Beautiful. We'll move to Claude. We'll create a new Claude chat and we'll put it in here, so that it keeps the memory and it keeps to be consistent in what it does. And now it should update everything. And let's say full code, please. Out of messages until 3 p.m. Can I upgrade? Come on, you can't leave me hanging here. So, function render player. I'm afraid we got to go to ChatGPT today. And ChatGPT, are you working? Okay, beautiful. So we'll put that in ChatGPT, and we'll see if it messes it up more. Here we go. It's doing something. Beautiful. And let's say, please give me the full code. We'll put it in there, and let's see if that works. And then we would have our SDK successfully integrated, and we'll hope that it works great. But it should be. Let's see, it's working hard. Okay, let's copy this one. We'll paste it in here. And let's please work. What the heck is that? Never use ChatGPT. Let's just make this manually. I'll copy that. Yeah, let's copy this one in here. We'll go to my render function. I'll put that in here. Now in this inline CSS, when we do a dynamic, I'll take the one that's broken. So I go on player. I go on this one, the one that has the issue. I do inspect. I go on my HTML level. I go in here. And this one is the one with the error, because if I were to make this black, it would work. So I'm going to copy this whole thing. copy all CSS changes. No, copy. I want to copy the whole thing. So let's copy this one. And let's do CSS formatter. Let's put this in here, in the CSS formatter. We'll put my CSS, format CSS. We got it formatted beautifully. So now we will be able to make this dynamic. So in here, I'll be going into my render player. And now in like this inline CSS where it does that thing, right? We got video player control, and we're kind of like targeting that classes in here. I'm going to add a new line, and I'll add that in here, just like that. And we see we do like dynamically the color in here with like this one. I'm going to go, we see background, right? We do background color. I think that was the one we did, yeah. We'll add the color in here. That should fix it. Now, if I click on here and click out, we got it fixed. So it took us 40 minutes, or no, 20 minutes for AI to not fix it. And it took us a few minutes for a human to fix it. So I got good news for you. Today is not the day where AI will take over. They may take over tomorrow. They may take over the day after tomorrow, but not today. Here we go. Look at that. It's beautiful. It's custom. And we can go here, and we can go down, and we can go here. And we got it beautifully working. Look at that. So we got that working. And now we want to make the color also dynamic, so we do color. Color, and let's make this default blue. And in here, I go on my color, and I would map it to my color attribute, and then we got the color dynamic blue because all CSS colors work. So we could also make color pink, and we would, you know, if we reload in here, it'll be pink, right? So we got that all set up. But I think if we do red, that looks more like YouTube. I like that. Let's do color red as default. Or we could also do default. Yeah, that's good enough. We could also do the color default to be empty, and that would probably go to the default color of player. Yeah, that's what it's doing. So what we want to do too is we want to actually have an event after the whole initialization is done. So inside of this code here, like make sure to call this after initializing player, right, where we do custom themes, and we would update this after this custom themes function, where render player, and then we do set timeout, apply custom themes. We want to look at our apply custom themes function because I want the player to only initialize after the custom themes are fired. So let's go one up. We got apply custom themes, right? After this is done, the custom themes are applied in here, right? This would be apply custom themes. We got custom style, and we got it closing here. Let's see. No. Yeah, we got an array in here of things we want to do. Yeah, that would be our function apply custom themes, but we want to do it outside of this part. So in here, right? So after the custom themes are applied in here, I want to do a CTX. I want to do here. I want to do CTX dot element action. So let's go to Toddle dev AI again. I want to, because it's not recommending this. If autocomplete doesn't work in VS Code, I'm screwed. So how did the CTX event action work again? And let's see. Does grammar matter with AI? No, not if you're making a video. Here we go. We got that ctx.trigger event action, and then we add the data in here. I just want to have this, and we don't need to even add any data. I just want to create this callback. So I'll put that in here. We only need to call the event. No data is needed. And I call this rendered. And then I go in here and I copy rendered, and I go in here on rendered. So if I go on plier in here and I go, and let's do this on load real quick. I go to render plier. If it is rendered, I want to update a variable. And we create a variable called show player or plier, right? And this will be false because when it's loading, we don't want to show it yet. So I'm going to go on that div block holding it, right? And I go on style, and we will add a class on attributes of hidden. I go on styling. Now in here, I go on classes, hidden. And on that hidden style, I want the opacity to be 0, right? And that is beautiful. And then I go on transitions, and I just add a simple transition for opacity in here. Beautiful. So now we got a nice opacity transition. And I want to make it hidden if show player is false. If show player equals true, no, it is false. So if show player equals false, and I made a typo, it should be false. So if show player is false, it will be hidden, right? And then on load, after it was successfully rendered, I want to set show plier to be true. So now when I reload the plier, we won't have content flashing or anything ugly. It would load and then it would fade in, as you can see. Beautiful. So now since we have this on 2 events in here, I want to just take onload and I can turn it into a workflow. So we can just delete those both. I create a workflow and I call the workflow render plier. Render plier. And in here, I'll paste that in, render plier, rendered, and then we'll set that. Beautiful. And then on load, I'll make my workflow, and on attribute change, I'll run my workflow, because then if I want to update, I'll just update it in the workflow, and the changes are automatically applied on here, because what we're doing here applies globally. So now we want to see how this looks on our page. And I think it actually looks pretty decent. Look at that. If I open my page, the plier just nicely fades in, and it works amazingly. It doesn't work amazingly because I have not set the attributes. So I can go here and make it pink, and we'll fade it in, and we got it pink. And I can go to source, and we can make this all dynamic, but I will be able to go to Xano and add like any video in here beautifully, and it fades beautifully in. And then I do type video MP4, because you could also hard code that if you want. But now we'll see we got the player with that. Now we can also do one update on this component where we actually go in the video and we'll see we have data poster. And I also want to add an attribute for poster, just like that. And let's actually go to Xano real quick, and let's upload a file of my Toddle videos, of my thumbnails. Not my invoices, of my thumbnails. So let's upload this one. This is actually a course they have on the membership site. If you want to have videos like this, but with even more information and helpful tips and daily office hours that help you solve things, you may want to look into that. The poster is the dynamic thumbnail, so we can go on video because it takes a little bit time to load, especially if you work with bigger videos. We go on the data poster here and we map it to the poster ID. And you see, we got that player. And it's the same one actually that is also on the membership side. So now I can go in here, and on this web component, I want to also make the poster dynamic. So now when I open the page, as you can see in here, I should have the poster. Yeah, I got the poster in here. That is interesting. Why is the poster not? Okay, now it's pretty quick. Yeah, I got the poster. Okay, that's very interesting. So now what you would do if you want to style the player, you would wrap it in an element that is a div, and you could then add fixed styling. So we can add a maximum width of 25 rem, for example, or 35 rem, and we can make the layout to be clip, clip, and then we add border 15. So we got rounded borders on our video player, and now we got our beautiful player, video player.
Hi, today I want to show you how you can build a Notion-like text editor widget in Toddle. And it is super simple. So let's get right started. First of all, you want to add
make full
a
screen.
div block. This is how we start in Toddle with everything. And let's add like a width of 100.
And we can continue in here.
Oh no, let's do a width of
Do the
35
volumes.
rem.
And we got our video player in here. So, it's not the perfect implementation, but this is the general idea on how you can implement and how you package those implementations in components that you can then reuse. So we could add another player in here that would work without any issues, and they would not interfere each other. So I would go in here and I would play this one.
Hi, today I want to show you how you can build a Notion. I want to show you.
I want to probably add more events on the components, based on if the video is playing or not. There's actually a great plugin that Andreas built that is Web Media. Oh, Andreas, where's the plugin? Here, Web Media. And that is actually something you would need to make sure that videos, if you play another video, it stops the other one. There is a cool plugin. We'll probably talk about media management more on nocodeprocode.com. But this is the idea how you can implement those libraries inside of Toddle in a usable way. Because I've seen a lot of resources telling you how you can implement them, but it's not really usable because you don't want to have those all as div blocks on the page. You want to package them as components, and you don't want to create necessarily packages that you expose to everyone else. You want to have them for yourself, right? Because this is your advantage in the market. So this teaches you how to do it, and a big player in that is AI, is using AI for your benefit. But sometimes it's not just listening to everything that AI says, because it may just quit at changing a CSS color that you could do yourself in 2 minutes. So, but if you want to learn more about Toddle, if you want to learn more tips and tricks like this, I would highly recommend you to maybe look into the NoCode ProCode membership. We have daily office hours, we got educational material, courses like this in there to help you really become a better developer, and you get a great value in there. And the community, it's full of content, it's full of courses, it's full of educational material, and you got even templates for beautiful file uploaders. Look at that. I mean, just you go in here, and that's a Wist logo. Let's add a different file. You add a file in here, and look, file is too large. But look at that, how great the uploader is. It even tells me that the file is too large, and that one is too large too. Come on. How about I add that in here? And now I see that it's loading, it's sending it to the backend. And if I click on delete, it already deletes it from the backend, and it's made that it's secure so that people can expect and go to the console and delete all the files from your backend. So there are all those safeguards. Those are the benefits that you get access to copy those if you're NoCode ProCode member, and you also have the office hours. I would love to see you inside of the community. If you click on get full access now, you just simply do a little application video so that you're not a stranger, and then you'll be part of the community and also get access to the SaaS backend course that is 2 hours in teaching you everything. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate that. I hope you learned a great
lesson here, and I think maybe there's something that I can learn from you. So please feel free to correct all my mistakes in the comments below. I'm sure I made plenty of them, but that's how we learn. So thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And yeah, see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.